for the viewers, you can see these are the two towers, and you can see the surrounding area, the surrounding buildings are covered. The area has been vacated. Even not just for human beings, even stray dogs, birds, they have been all vacated, and a lot of the administration has been at it. At the administration, the forces have been working round the clock over the last 1 week. Not even 9 seconds.
It's barely a few seconds, and there are people cheering on the streets and from the balconies and terraces that where they've all gathered. You can see the visuals right now.
And there have been guidelines, of course, Apoorva, there have been guidelines issued for Noida residents in almost all localities, the do's and don'ts. Where we spoke to the companies that are actually that did the demolition, and our colleague Amok spoke to the company and to those in charge, and they said that they were pretty confident. And we are still awaiting an official word from the administration as to how the operation went, but it looks like so far we have not seen any red alert here on the ground. And Apoorva, while we wait for a word from the administration and a go ahead, let us go back to the case a bit. And it started in 2011 in Allahabad High Court, and then it went to Supreme Court in 2014, and subsequently last year Supreme Court ordered the demolition of these twin towers. And it's also being looked as you rightly pointed out, as a big win for the Residents Welfare Association, who started the legal fight and went to Allahabad High Court initially.
Absolutely, Janki. Like you mentioned, that's what it was. Now, just to give our viewers a quick recap again, up until now I was making it quick because we also wanted our viewers to see a visual of the towers being demolished. But like I mentioned, the battle began with the Residents Welfare Association going to the Allahabad High Court, claiming firstly that claiming a violation of several Uttar Pradesh regulations around building construction and building bylaws, a building code as well. Now there were several problems, and I'll lay them down in very simple language. Firstly, like I mentioned, the initial plan was that where these two towers had come up, initially the people who bought those flats in Emerald Court project were told that there was a green area that will come up there. However, there were revised plans which were duly sanctioned by the Noida authority in 2009, but the construction of these two towers actually began 5 months before even sanction was granted. So that's one thing that the court took note of, that how did that happen. Then when these buildings came up, when there are such major changes to these to a building plan, the residents that are already there, the builder needs to take their permission to make those major changes, because that affects the residents' right to shared spaces, common spaces. That sanction wasn't taken from the Residents Association. Then third major point was that when such huge buildings are coming up, building code says that, and this is for fire safety, that there should be a certain distance between them. For example, if the buildings are higher than 50 meters, which was the case here, there should be a distance of at least 16 meters between two buildings, which didn't happen here. The distance was 9 meters. That's something again that High Court and the Supreme Court took note of. And with all these observations is when the Supreme Court found that firstly these buildings were constructed in violation of several of these laws, and secondly how the Supreme Court's judgment as well, it was a commentary on how such illegal constructions affect the quality of life of residents, and that's where this judgment came out to be so significant.
Yeah, you rightly pointed out. I mean, just look at these towers now that they are gone. They were right in the middle of a locality of there were other residents staying there, and of course it was impacting the public space, the public spaces that were promised to those residents who had got their flats and their apartments, their homes, and then later on you had these towers, extending their floors way beyond the initial plan was the case. Apoorva, we'll just get back to the legal aspect and what next in just a bit, but I just want to give a sense to the viewers now. These are the visuals that are coming now. The Supertech Twin Towers. You can see a clear change in Noida skyline right now here. Just 5 minutes back, those two twin towers were right there. It's only taken, we saw it, just a moment ago. It's taken less than 10 seconds for those two towers to be demolished, and it's been done by a technique called controlled implosion, where both of those two towers are ideally supposed to cave into the center. Whether or not that has happened, or has there been any small issue or minor issue in that technique or during the implosion, we will only get to know about those details in a bit when we get an official word from the administration. Coming back to the legal aspect of this entire case, Apoorva, what next now? Now these Supertech Twin Towers are demolished. What's the future course of action? Is there a criminal case likely? Is there a scope of a criminal case? Are there any other related cases going on already in the court? Can you please share some details regarding that?
Absolutely, Janki, and I feel like that's one question that's been there in several viewers' minds as well. So when the High Court judgment came in 2014, and even when the Supreme Court judgment, which basically affirmed the High Court judgment, came, both these verdicts said that actually directed that prosecution should be granted for starting criminal cases against Supertech employees as well who were involved in this, as well as Noida officials, because the court found certain collusion between them to bypass these laws and still have these two 29-floor and third floor buildings come up. Now these sanctions had to be granted for violation of Uttar Pradesh Urban Development Act 1973 and Uttar Pradesh Apartment Promotion of Construction Ownership and Maintenance Act 2010. These two laws, like I said, in simple terms, I didn't want to quote a lot of legal jargon for our viewers, but like I had mentioned, the violations, the examples of violations that I had given, those violations were under these laws, and under these laws there are certain penalties also given. For example, under the 2010 Act, a promoter can be penalized with 3 to 6 year jail term, or with 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs of fine for any violations. So there is a possibility with this judgment that sanctions are granted and a criminal case comes up against Noida officials as well as against Supertech officials who allegedly colluded to bring these towers up. As for the residents of those two towers, during the case itself, they were all returned back their money with 12% interest. So those were other applications also that was filed. Plus, the court had also appointed an amicus in this case, Mr. Gaurav Agarwal, who also ensured he kept in touch with these residents so that their money, the investors' money, everything is returned back to them.
Right, Apoorva. Thanks for those legal updates, and very crucial ones, because while the demolition is over, the path ahead is still unclear for a lot of residents, and I'm sure as we talk and as you rightly pointed out in the beginning that there are it's almost a kind of a win for in a more meaningful manner for a lot of residents who are duped by be it builders or just the authorities or anyone who's actually promised a home and then later duped with new construction or irregularities. But we leave you with those visuals here from Noida, those Supertech Twin Towers, a cloud of dust and smog now slowly and gradually engulfing the air. But as I said, the administration is watching it closely, and there's already, you can see a lot of forces are already here, and we can see from where we are standing, we can actually see those forces deployed, and not just here, even the hospitals are on standby in case of any casualty. But so far so good. We haven't so far it looks like it's gone down smoothly, and there has been no untoward incident or casualty or a mishap right here. Thank you for joining in on this very special broadcast on the Print YouTube channel. Thank you, Apoorva, for all the legal updates. Do tune in to the Print YouTube channel for more. Thank you.